Hey there, welcome to the For Real Though Show, podcast with the purpose for the people. I am your host, Christopher Keith. Hey, hope all is well with you guys today. So I'm gonna spend a few minutes with you today to set the record straight because it's something, man, that's really been pissing me off lately, to be honest with you. And let me just give you a few disclaimers. So if you don't like a lot of profanity, I can't promise that there won't be a lot today. So, just keep your eyes out for that. I'm kind of on my Kwame Brown shit today. Okay. And if you know anything about Kwame Brown, he used to play in the NBA and he's had a whole story about quote unquote being a bust, which he really wasn't a bust. But he had a nice long career in the NBA. But, basically, the brother has had some videos that he's come out with, as of late, kind of show social critique and some things and some people. Some of it I don't rocked with it, some of it I haven't. But, I do think the brother is sincere, and so I appreciate, some of his contributions. So it's kind of in that spirit because one thing about Kwame Brown is when he come out, he ain't pulling no punches, he ain't apologizing to no motherfucker. He just gonna tell you what it is. And this particular subject, I'm so passionate about that I really don't give a fuck about what the critics think. So I'm just gonna say what it is. Uh, so let's get started with it. So today's topic, again, kind of on my Kwame Brown shit, is stolen, misappropriated, and weaponized words and phrases. Okay, again, stolen, misappropriated, and weaponized words and phrases. And we're gonna start, you know, we ain't gonna dive too much into a lot of them, but we're gonna deal with one in particular that's really been vexing the country, the culture, and everything else, which is the term wokeness. I'm sure you've heard it a lot. Woke this, woke that, woke the other. And the funny thing about it is, and let me preface this as well. I'm gonna use the term white folks. I'm gonna talk about white folks today. And we'll talk about black folks too, but I'm gonna talk about white folks today. It's just so I'm clear. White folks is not a pejorative word phrase in a literal sense. Okay, not talking about all white people. I'm talking about a very specific white set of people. Okay, these are as follows. Okay, Trumpsters. Okay, conservatives. Okay, liberals who use the term woke. Okay, some progressives that use the term woke. And so that could grow across colors, but I'm definitely focusing in on white folks in particular. Okay, whether it's progressive or conservative. Okay, so when I talk about that, that's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about every single white person or every white person in America or anything like that. So I'm just saying that for the people who don't know me, because most of you know me, so y'all know how what my get down is. Okay, um, so the term woke, first of all, let me just say this: that black people make the culture. Okay, let's just be clear about that. We make the culture. Okay, we come out with the terms, the slangs, and what tends to happen is we use them. It kind of starts with the youth, and then it goes to Twitter, and then we kind of pick it up and we use it for a while, because we know what it means, right? And we can slide it in our words and phrases and whatnot. And then something happens. Something happens. And that thing that happens is white folks get a hold to it. And when white folks get a hold to our phrases, our culture, they try to appropriate that shit for themselves to either try to be hip or, they try to define it, right? They try to use it. And it's usually always fucked up, right? So when they use it, it turns into something totally different. And not only that, by the time they get to it, these white people I'm talking about in particular that I recently named just a few moments ago, number one, we don't even use the shits no more. We don't use the shits no more. So you're fucking outdated, okay? And you missed the whole fucking goddamn meeting to the shit in the first place. So therefore, when we hear you, we just tune your ass out because we're like, oh God, they got a hold of one of our words. Here we go. Here we go. So, the woke thing been going around for quite a while, now. And ever since white folks got a hold to it, I've never heard any of them appropriate the shit, or describe the shit properly. It's always on some bogus bullshit. We'll get into that. So, you got a few people that like to talk about wokeness and shit, which is a buzzword. It's a pejorative word that I'm going to get into that, because what it really means is thug, race, nigger. That's what it really means when they say woke, right? That's what they really mean. All you got to do is pay attention to it. That's what they really mean. But, so you got your normal, Fox News that would get down with that kind of thing, not very unusual for them to criticize anything that's black, whatsoever, right? Then you have another cat who I noticed was getting off into it, who is Bill Maher. Now, I used to fuck with Bill Maher. Matter of fact, I used to fuck with Bill Maher every weekend, because I think the dude is smart. He's thoughtful, he's a critical thinker, and I've always thought, he hold kind of both parties' feet to the fire. So I've always appreciated that about him. But, lately, the last couple of years, man, he done fell off. And the reason he done fell off is because he does a whole lot of them whataboutisms, right? And false equivalence. But what I mean by that is, that whole shit about both sides of the aisle. Well, both sides do this, both sides do that. And he used to kind of talk against that, but now he's kind of like on this tip where, he's all on the woke tip, talking about woke folk and shit like that, right? So he's really just buying into a narrative that I could tell by looking at him and listening to him that he's just tired of black people. He tired of black people. He tired of black grievances. He tired of us talking about them. He tired of having to deal with them and answer them on this show. And so I was already kind of suspect, but I was sticking with him, because I've been watching them for years, and I don't believe in blowing somebody off because of what they say on one show or two shows. Hell, not even 5 shows if you got a series going 20 something years, that just, I don't expect to agree with everything or anything like that. So that wasn't a problem. But then when he really lost me was when he had Sharon Osbourne on the show. And, if you ain't hip, Sharon Osbourne used to be on The Talk, and she got into some shit with Cheryl Underwood, and it was really foul, nasty, ugly, and then she tried to play the victim, right? So she tried to crack on Cheryl Underwood, but then she tried to flip the script and play the victim, talking about, you bet not cry. Oh, you bet not, you don't you dare cry. And, and Cheryl was like, trust me, the Negro in her did not come out, because she was definitely calm. She seemed like she was really shocked because she thought that was her friend. She was like, I'm coming to you as a friend. I'm just telling you, my point of view on this thing. And Sharon wasn't hearing it. So, she fucked up, and then eventually, she got booted off the show. So Maher has her on the show, and they sitting there talking, and it's just, he basically comes out and says, oh, well, so Sharon, basically you it was racism that got you kicked off the show, and because you disagree with something, that the woke people say and that kind of shit. And I thought to myself, man, damn, Bill, either you didn't watch the fucking show when it happened, you ain't watched no tape, you ain't did no research, or you just went off of what a motherfucker told you, or you just didn't care. Like, it, one of the two. I don't know. But after that, I was like, no, man, fuck this dude. Fuck this dude. I ain't watched the show since. Ain't gonna watch him, period. Because again, I could tell where he's at. I could tell where he's changed. He's changed. And and don't get me wrong, it's not to say that he didn't always feel this way, but I know there, like, a lot of people have fatigue. You know what I mean? Like they just got, like, they got black folk fatigue. And it's like, shit, how the fuck do you think we feel? We go through this shit every day. You motherfuckers just have to talk about it sometimes, right? But but I noticed that he has a lot of people on this show that don't just come from the other side, or the other side of the aisle, if you will. They just come out at these really crazy, like fucking Andrew Sullivan and people like that. People that you ask him a question, he fucking has Steve Bannon on the show. I mean, which is like, okay, he would say, well, why would I shut up somebody's voices. That's what's wrong with America. You got to have people from outside. Yeah. But you ain't got to have stupid, dumb motherfuckers on the show. Like there's nothing that says that everybody's motherfucking point of view needs to be validated. Where did that shit come from? Everybody's point of view does not need to be validated. If your shit is stupid, dumb, racist, ignorant, dumb as fuck, don't nobody need to hear what you're saying. You don't deserve a platform just because you're different, right? not on so-called legitimate shows. Anyway, I digress. So let me go on where we're going here. So, so James Carville, he was another person that talked about, the whole woke thing. We lost the elections because of woke culture, the woke people, and this other kind of bullshit. We get to his ass in a minute too. But then, what really tipped it off and what made me say, man, I gotta finally go ahead and speak out of this. It was motherfucking Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers. And here's a cat, man, that I dig. You know what I mean? Like I've always liked Aaron Rodgers, as a football player. I don't know the cat, but I like the shit he got to say, and I like his get down, but this shit here, man, he just fell the fuck off, and I'm gonna tell you why. So most of y'all already know, if you follow sports or anything, he lied about being vaccinated, right? And so when the blowback came back on him, then instead of him dealing with it and saying, you know what, yeah, I deceived y'all or whatever, whatever he wanted to say, he gonna come back and say like it's motherfucking woke fault, like it's woke folk fault. And what he did was he used a Fox News, Joe Rogan type of bullshit argument, right? So I'm gonna read you what he said. This is what he said after he got busted line and people were really going in on his ass for a few days, right? Not just so-called liberals either. It was like conservative people, motherfuckers like Terry Bradshaw was going after his ass. And if you know anything about Terry Bradshaw, he can't stand Mike Tomlin, right? He can't stand Mike Tomlin's black ass, but and he's a quarterback, so he liked quarterbacks. Well, he got at his ass too because he knew the motherfucker was lying. He tried to act like he's the smartest motherfucker in the room, and then he got caught. So here's what this motherfucker said on the little Pat McAfee show that he does. I'm gonna read it. Quote: I realize I'm in the crosshairs of the woke mob right now. So before my final nail gets put in my cancel culture basket, I think I would like to set the record straight of so many of the blatant lies that are out there about myself. I strongly believe in bodily and autonomy and ability to make choices for your body. Unquote. Let me stop. Of course, motherfucker, you do. Which is why you could have said that shit in the beginning. But no, that ain't what you said. You was like, it's like, so Aaron, are you vaccinated? Yeah, I'm immunized. And I'm paraphrasing. Yeah, I'm immunized. As a matter of fact, we got our guys in the locker room. I respect those that get vaccinated. I respect those that don't. Obviously, we want to get everybody on one accord and, blah, blah, blah. I care about people's health and yada, yada, yada. So he put himself like he was vaccinated and then was like, well, I respect the motherfuckers that didn't get vaccinated, right? So that was a Jedi mind trick he tried to pull in there. Now, let me go back to quoting. Not to have to acquiesce to some woke culture or crazed group of individuals who say you have to do something. Health is not a one size fits all for everybody. And then this is where he really fucked up. He goes, the great MLK says, now, when white folks quote Martin Luther King, it's always on some bullshit. It's always without context. It's always cut off bits and pieces. You know what I'm saying? It's never the true essence of what the man was saying. It's just on some bit and borrowed, broken pieces of shit that you can say to fit your narrative. But then it's what the motherfucker said. You have a moral obligation. The great MLK said, you have a moral obligation to object to unjust rules and rules that make no sense. Now, first of all, that ain't what Martin Luther King said. What he said was, I quote, one has not only a legal, but a moral responsibility to obey just laws. Conversely, one has a moral responsibility to disobey unjust laws. That's what Martin Luther King said. But again, because this motherfucker is trying to, appeal to a certain people, he went straight at the woke cancel culture. Ain't nobody canceled motherfucking Aaron Rodgers, right? And basically what he's saying is because he was criticized for his bullshit, then he went the easiest route possible, which is to throw shit on Black folk, really. That's what it is, Black. Because again, we started the motherfucking culture anyway. You know what I'm saying? And he knows that all of that shit that he talking about, woke and cancel culture, that shit comes straight from Fox News, OAN, and all them other motherfuckers, right? And again, Democrats and progressives, sometimes they've been stupid enough to buy into the shit too. We'll get to that too. So, again, so we talk about, again, this ain't the first word, they done took, they lit, drip, you know what I'm saying? I was doing a softball game this fall and I had a necklace on, and this softball player came up to me. I guess they was in high school, and she was like, "Hey, Blue, I like your necklace." I said, "Oh, thank you." And she goes, "It's trippy," And I wasn't mad at her, you know what I'm saying? I wasn't mad at her, you know what I mean? Because, I ain't against her using the word. She used it in the right context, right? You know what I'm saying? And then she meant it as a compliment, you know what I'm saying? Because again, Black people, we start the culture, right? We dictate the culture. And so although she was a Caucasian young lady, I knew where she was coming from, but it was cool that she was in the right way, right? But as in the case in most of white America, I've always said this for years. Love Black culture. Love Black culture. You want to dance to the music. You want to, I like big butts and I cannot lie. You want to do all of that shit, right? But you hate Black people. You don't want to see Black people get justice. You don't want to see them get jobs. You don't want to see them get health care. Most of the shit that you see now, like the whole Biden Build America Back Better Again and all that kind of shit, Build America Better, whatever the fuck it is called, which is the social bill. You know why these motherfuckers really don't want to pass it, like the Republican senators and shit like that? You know why Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema's of the world, you know why they really fucking hate it? Even though their own people would get it, they just don't want to see Black folks get it. That's what it always comes down to. That's what it always comes down to. They don't want to see Black folks get child care benefits or anything like that. That's the whole thing with the stimulus. It was the whole thing when a lot of these red states cut out the extra $300. They weren't thinking white folks wasn't going to work. They was like, "Oh, that lazy niggers not going to work. Oh my God, we got to put a stop to this. Take this free money away. These niggas are just stealing the money. They just draining America." That's the way they really feel. So that's what all this shit comes down to. If they knew they was the only ones getting this shit, these benefits, they would not trip. They wouldn't trip. Trust me. Anyway, so to these people, when you talk about woke, that's any ideal or ideology that doesn't line up with white normality or anything that's resistant to their line of bullshit. That's what they think wokeness is, right? Wokeness is, we can't call you out on your bullshit, Aaron Rodgers, because if you get caught lying and we check you for it, then instead of you being accountable for the bullshit you said, you're going to try to flip the script on us. These woke cancel culture. They're going to put a nail in my coffin. Oh my God. That's hyperbole like a motherfucker, boy. God damn. See, that's the problem with Aaron Rodgers. He think he's the smartest motherfucker in the room. You ain't smarter than me, though, dog. You ain't smarter than me. Anyway. So, woke at the end of the day for them, it's just really just hubris. It's hubris. It's white folks taking a word, creating it, weaponizing it, justifying their bullshit. It's like a Jedi mind trick. And, and let's go back again to the election. So James Carville, lifelong blue blood Democrat from Louisiana, Louisiana. And this motherfucker said, well, the Democrats lost us. The woke culture, the woke, very woke people. That's why we lost some of these seats in the election. Wokeness. That's why Terry McAuliffe lost in Virginia, the woke people, But see, James Carville wasn't talking that shit, though. Last year, when Biden was getting his ass beat in the primaries. Let's look at the numbers. See, because we like to have facts on this show. You know what I'm saying? We like to have facts. So let's look at this. In Iowa, February 3rd, okay, 2020, Joe Biden got 14% of the vote. Bernie Sanders got 45.6. Elizabeth Warren, 34.9, so forth, right? February 11th, the next week, New Hampshire. What happened in New Hampshire? Pray tell. Do you remember? In New Hampshire, let's see. Joe Biden, 24% of the vote. Bernie Sanders, 76% of the vote. Elizabeth Warren, 27%. Then you go the next week after that, Nevada. Joe Biden, a paltry, a small, single digit, 9%. Bernie Sanders, 41%. Elizabeth Warren, 7.3, right? So, what nobody talking about woke then, goddammit. But you know what happened in South Carolina when they needed the black vote? What happened in South Carolina? What happened in South Carolina? I just want to know. Would you like me to tell you the numbers? I'm going to share the numbers with you. What happened in South Carolina? What got this shit going around? Boom! Because they said, hey, you lose South Carolina, partner. Your old ass is out here. You out here on these streets. Sorry, thanks for coming. Show them what they've won. Well, Joe Biden, you've won a box of Rice-A-Roni, the San Francisco treat. Show them, Bob. That's what was coming to them, right? But now, South Carolina, 39%. Jim Clyburn came out and said, this is our cat right here. Jim Clyburn, right? Fucking Bernie got 15%, right? And then you go to Alabama, 44% for Biden, right? 8% for Bernie Sanders, okay? So, and then when it came to the actual election, we got Raphael Warnock in there and John Ossoff. I didn't hear James Carville talking about woke people. Did you? Did he say, oh, thank God for the woke people? The woke people saved Joe Biden's white ass. He did not say that. No, he did not. No, he did not. They did what they always do. Wait for the black folk to save them. Save us, black people. Save us. Save us. You know what's going to happen if Trump get back in office. Save us. Save us so we can save you. Save us so we can save you. Save us. Save us. Oh, black people. And then when you save us, we won't probably give you shit back. Because like the voting rights bill is, the John Lewis bill, I hear shit about that. Oh man, can't vote. They heard nothing about that. I digress. I was talking to a friend of mine about this too, a brother, really, really good friend of mine. And he was talking about the same thing, it's the woke culture and this, that, and the other, and he's like, and he made a good point about Democrats sticking together because they do need to stick together. I'm a little bit off to the side now, but they do need to stick together. But at the same time, woke ain't stop shit. Woke is really shit that's in white people's minds that they heard, don't know the meaning to, just like they don't know what critical race theory is, right? These are all just things that got thrown that conservatives throw into a soup bowl, you know what I'm saying? And just start throwing it in everybody's face, and then motherfuckers start eating that shit up. You know what I'm saying? And then they regurgitate the shit. They throw it right back up into society, right? And then people think it's really a problem. No, it's the perception of it that's a problem, right? It's people's lack of critical thinking That's the problem. It's the lack of people dissecting this shit. That's the problem. So anyway, let's go back. Let's talk about, because I would argue that Black folks ain't cancel no goddamn body. Like, we can't cancel nobody. We ain't even got that much power. But I'm gonna tell you who do be canceling motherfuckers. White folks. That's right, white folks. Y'all be canceling motherfuckers left and right. Case in point. You remember when Colin Powell, right, was the great general who led our forces into Iraq for those weapons of mass destruction that weren't there, right? You remember when he decided that he was going to vote for Barack Obama? What did both Rush Limbaugh and Dick Cheney say? They said, oh, he just votes for him because he's Black. So they took a career general, a career military man who made it to the chairman of the Joint Chief of Staff and said, oh, you just voted for the Black guy because you're Black. Oh, I mean, see what I'm saying? Like, there's a theme here that all the shit white folks accuse us of all the time when they say you can't serve in the jury because you can't be impartial. But now white folks can be the impartial jurors, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's some crazy shit, right? Same way with this Ahmaud Arbery, right? You got Al Sharpton came into the courtroom, and what did the pastor? Not the pastor. Speaking of pastors, what did the defense say? He said, "I don't want no more Black pastors coming up in his courtroom. No more Black pastors." So I guess he could have had a white pastor, white preacher. You know what I'm saying? And then when Jesse came, he tried to get a dismissal because Jesse Jackson was in the building. Like, what kind of shit is that? Like, to me, every Black preacher that's worth his salt should take his ass to Atlanta right now and get up, be outside marching and doing whatever the fuck ever. Since they so sensitive to that shit, right? But that's what they call wokeness, right? So again, if you speak out against systematic racism, you know what they call it? Woke mob. Police brutality. Voting rights. Right? And see, so what I'm saying is don't fall for the okie doke, right? Don't fall for the okie doke. So that's who really cancels. So, and then you look at this other case in Kenosha, which probably by the time you see this video, that's going to be over with. We're actually recording this on Wednesday, the 17th. This will be released on the 19th. But I mean, the way this Judge Scrotum been handling this thing here, Judge Scrotum, he been, he got the McCloskeys up in there. You know who the McCloskeys are? Remember them, the St. Louis people outside in the Central West End with their little, one got a M16, the other chick got a pistol in her hand, right? And what the fuck they got to do with the case up in Wisconsin, right? And other than, like, they already know this boy just went shooting Black folk. Although he shot white people, right? But see, here's the key. I'm gonna go back to that. I'm gonna save that. I'm sorry. I'm gonna save that. I'm gonna come back to that. That's an important point. But anyway, so here you got the defense trying to cancel Jesse Jackson, trying to cancel a whole trial for these three good old boys who hunted, corralled, and shot an innocent man dead. So who really gets canceled? The last person I saw really get canceled? Colin Kaepernick. Now, Colin Kaepernick, that brother got canceled, right? Because he don't have a career, right? He's got to do, not in football anyway, he got to do movies. He got the Colin Kaepernick special on Netflix with Ava DuVernay, shout out, right? He had a little thing with Nike. Maybe he still got a contract with them. But as far as his football career, that shit got canceled. That's who got canceled. You know who didn't get canceled? Toss this in there for you black folks. Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle did not get canceled. He still got plenty of money with Netflix. He's still gonna do specials. Dave Chappelle did not get canceled because we said about the LBGT or trans or whatever in his Netflix thing. See, so black folks too, you have to not know when not to fall for the okie doke. He ain't get canceled. Besides, we don't even say that. Republicans, when they lose, what they try to do? Cancel the election. What was January 6th about? Canceling the certification. Do we cancel anything? So when they lose, right? When they lose, they deny, cheat, create legislation to keep people from vote, create legislation that says even if you all vote, and you become the majority, oh, or our secretaries of states could just say, fuck it. We not certifying them votes. Fuck y'all votes, because this is what we really gonna do over here. So fuck y'all votes. That's canceling. That's canceling. Another thing they want to cancel, let's talk about what they cancel now. See, they cancel shit every day while they call us woke, while they call us cancel culture, while they call us a mob. Again, the word mob being a pejorative word, right? A trigger word, right? Put pictures in people's minds that a mob, they're about to burn down the AutoZone, right? That's what we try to tell you it is, but what's being canceled now? What's being talked about in school boards? All these school board meetings. Steve Bannon even said we taking over school boards, right? What they want to cancel? Books. They want to cancel Beloved, right? They want to cancel Big Bird because he said get a vaccination. They want to cancel books on history, and what that really is about is the 1619 Project, so-called critical race theory. What it really is the 1619 Project and other books they talk about, slavery, the legacy of racism, white supremacy, this and the other. And it's so stupid, so funny, not funny, haha, but stupid, as if you don't realize that we realize this shit. It's whenever y'all want to pull Martin Luther King out your ass for some statement, how can you tout Martin Luther King, but then don't talk about what the fuck he stood for? You know what I'm saying? And then try to act like what he stood for didn't even, like what he stood against never even happened. That there was always civil rights for everybody. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, are you kidding me? Like, you don't, like, we see you. We see you, white people. We see you. And we look at you and we like, how stupid can you be and still breathe? Do you really think you getting over on us? Do you think we don't understand what the fuck? We know you don't believe that shit. We know you don't. Obviously, you got people trying to cancel the January 6th investigation, right? Even though some of their own lives were in danger, right? And some of them were right on in on it, right? Right? So what are they trying to do? Cancel the election, cancel votes. Who canceling out here? Here's the thing about, that I was going to talk about, like with the McCloskeys, is they hate so much. This is what I was getting back to that I had to apologize that I didn't talk about. They got so much hatred in them that they're willing to kill their own. They would devour their own when it comes to this race thing, right? It's not new. It's not new. If you was a white person, you help people out, hey, Warner, Cheney, and Goodman, hey, nigger lovers, got to get rid of you, right? And even with Rittenhouse, punk motherfucker that he is, bitch made, punk pussy ass, crying. And what he was doing. Disgusted. Anyway, even when it come to him, like I said, he killed white people. He shot 3 people, killed 2 white people. But you know why the McCloskeys are there? To hold up the standard. The standard. the standard that says, you know what? To keep this apartheid system, sometimes white folks got to go too. And guess what? White folks, if you wasn't out there trying to help them niggas, you wouldn't have got shot. What did the judge say? Judge Scrotum. Judge Scrotum was like, no, you cannot call them victims. Even though they were shot and killed, they can't be victims. But you can call them rioters, looters, and arsonists. Now, he ain't got shit to first on either of these people burning anything, looting anything, taking anything. One is a medic. So he was there actually helping people. But Judge Scrotum said that, well, no, you can't call him a victim. You can call him a looter or a rider, right? Incidentally, like I said, by the time this is over, I'm sure the jury will be back. It seemed like, I don't know what's going to happen, but it seemed like the jury is trying hard to figure this shit out with all these, paperwork they've been asking for. And I mean, because the judge was so fucking confusing. If they just wanted to bank and bust out of there, that shit would have been over with. But they obviously trying hard at who knows? Maybe they'll come back with some time and this judge will go back and be like, hey, fuck it. Mistrial anyway. That shit is still on the table. Mistrial. Let's just kick it all out. Anyway, but that's my point, man. My point is we ain't canceling nobody, but again, these people will, like I said, that they will devour and kill their own, man, just to hold this standard of racism up, right? You talk about canceling. Ahmaud Arbery was canceled. George Floyd was canceled. Sandra Bland was canceled. These people are canceled. That's real cancellation. You know what I'm saying? So, let's talk about who is the real woke mob. We've already touched on it. It ain't black folks. It's these white folks. A certain age, a certain demographic, a certain mindset, certain political leaning, and they are the kings and grand dragons, if you will, of gaslighting and setting a thing. They gaslight and set a thing. And what happens is a lot of people, even progressives, they buy into it and see this is one of the problems Democrats have, in particular when it comes to this kind of stuff. Like they don't know how to talk about the good shit that they do. That's one thing. They don't brag about the good shit. So even when you had the Affordable Health Care Act, Affordable Health Care Act. So they let white folks turn into Obamacare, right? And it turns out that in the long run, it really didn't hurt them, but it definitely hurt them initially, calling Obamacare. And then next thing you know, Democrats is calling Obamacare. That ain't what the fucking name of the bill is. It's called Affordable Health Care Act, And when you don't know how to name a thing, right? You don't know how to name a thing where it's clearly defined, then you spend a whole lot of time defending it. Like when they came up with the whole defund the police shit. In theory, yeah, but if you got to explain this shit, it's not what I mean. It's not what I mean. But then that means you're fucking horrible on messaging. And that's one of the Democrats' problem. They're horrible on messaging and they don't know how to talk the good shit. And they don't, and they let other motherfuckers determine the narrative, but they always reacted to it. So anyway, like I said, man, as I get ready to close out, we just got to be better, man. We got to know when we being set up. You got to learn how to avoid those buzz phrases. So as we close, let me give you an example of if we were still using stay woke today, black folk, like if we was really into that. I remember when there was a song by Childish Gambino, that was probably a few years ago, right? But if we was really, let me give you an example of what we mean by stay woke. And this is for white people who don't know, because obviously a lot of you motherfuckers don't know what staying woke means, right? What we mean when we came up with the phrase in the first place. Now, again, if you're a sports fan, or maybe if you're not a sports fan, you know that Jon Gruden was fired. His $100 million 10-year coaching job. with the Las Vegas Raiders, Los Angeles, Oakland, Las Vegas Raiders. And initially, the thing came out about, these leaked emails from the Washington football team and himself, Bruce Allen and himself, who worked for Washington at the time. And so here's what black folks start saying. It was like, well, when he talked about black people in the emails, he didn't get fired. But when he talked about gay people, he got fired. And what I was saying all along was, no, not exactly. When the shit came out on a Friday, right? And when the shit came out on Friday about the black people, between Friday and Saturday, the thing came out also about Michael Sam signing with the Rams. Okay, so he still wasn't fired. And then on Monday, the shit came out about Roger Goodell. So when he was like torture Roger Goodell, calling him a bitch and a pussy and shit like that, then it was like, okay, then they got rid of him. But here's the thing. So what black people were doing was like, oh, shiny thing, racism. There's racism. Look at that shiny racism over there. Look. And they was on their victimhood shit because they was like, oh, but the gays. As soon as he talked about the gays, oh boy, then something happened. Stay woke. You know what I'm saying? That's what they were saying, right? Dave Chappelle was right, and that's not really, if you follow the tea leaves for real, that's not really what went down. Neither here nor there. But when I would say stay woke, this is what I was thinking the whole time. Okay. Took some notes here. So here's what was missed. You got 650,000 emails from a Washington football team, right? A team owner who's accused of having a hostile work environment, naked pictures of cheerleaders, right? Workplace sexual harassment, okay? You got a man who gets fired, who's never worked for that team, who doesn't work for that team, and has nothing to do with that team. Bruce Allen, who's brother of a former governor of Virginia, okay, the man is participating in those emails. None of his emails ever come out. Other employees, including the owners, his emails aren't out. Now, thing is, what if those emails were out? Because as wrong-headed as wrong as much of an asshole as John Gruden may be, at the same time, I'm like, that's a little fish. That's a little fish. Because he had shit to do with it, with their investigation. The whole investigation was on the Washington football team in the first place. It was never about the Raiders. It was never about Gruden, right? So I'm thinking this. Man gets fired and got nothing to do with the emails, okay? But what would these other emails say? Would they talk about, say, Colin Kaepernick? Would they talk about collusion? Would they talk about the Rooney Rule, hiring practices for Black coaches and GMs? Would they talk about maybe why Eric Bieniemy still hadn't got a job yet, right? How does Gruden's emails get clips, but nobody else's, right? And then after Gruden is out of there, then they come out and says, yeah, so we've scoured everything. There's nothing else there. There's nothing else there. Now, that is a banana in the tailpipe. Shit. Stay woke. For real, though.